Welcome back to Story Mode. It's 1998 and I'm flying high. In fact, I've been single for 18 months now and I'm feeling good about myself. The only thing I needed to do now was sell off my video game collection. Welcome to 1998, where Microsoft becomes the biggest company in the world, valued at $261 billion. And on the 26th of June, Microsoft released Windows 98. BMW buys Rolls-Royce car company. France wins the World Cup, beating Brazil 3-0. Japan hosts the Winter Olympics at Nagano. Google is founded. Apple unveils the iMac for the first time. Bill Clinton denies he had sexual relationships with former White House intern Monica Lewinsky.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
The most popular TV show in 1998 was Simpsons, Frasier, Stargate SG-1 and Jerry Springer. Some of the most popular movies at the time were Armageddon, The Wedding Singer with Adam Sandler, Lethal Weapon 4, The Titanic, and There's Something About Mary. 1998, the year I'm going to rebuild myself, relax, and find myself all at once, and I would still have the hand of Tony Robbins. So after much dating experience and finding out women just do not like video games, I decided to forget women at the moment and focus on other things. So I decided to move into my grandparents' house as they had a small room out the back. This room would be perfect for me to rebuild. Now if we head back to 1991 for a minute, you'll notice I owned my own video game shop, and before that I actually sold video games from my grandparents' house. So it's like 7 years later I've come full circle. I'm back where I started. So I'm at my grandparents' house and this is where I moved in 1998, mainly to get some solitude and find myself again. The best part was my grandparents had a room out the back and the room was huge. I could store my video games there and sell my games from my grandparents' house, like I did before my shop. The other reason I moved is because Mum's house was getting a little bit small. You see, I had two half-sisters, two younger half-sisters, and if I moved out, it'd give everyone a little bit more room. The last 18 months I had my video games boxed up, so when I got to my grandparents' house, in my own room, I decided to unbox everything and put it on the shelves. Put it on the shelves to sell them all. Yes, all of them, one by one, and I wanted the maximum amount of money. I had a few upright arcade machines I needed to sell off too, and with a little bit of money in the bank, I could see the money slowly coming in, with my video game collections going and my bank account going up. It was a really strange feeling. I felt like I was losing a major part of my life, especially my childhood, but at the same time I was getting awesome money for the games. I had a lot of games that were multiple, such as Wave Race. I remember a guy coming over and buying all 8 of my Wave Races. Later on I found out he had a shop. After a month or so I started feeling lighter, and this was clearly because of the video games themselves. I didn't have to worry about the games as much because 1, this would help me find a partner, 2, my room looked cleaner, and 3, I could now buy a really nice car. And that's another thing. During this period of selling games, I would be buying cars left, right, and center. And that's not the half of it. Anytime I had money, I would be buying a car. Honda Preludes, 300ZX, 300ZX Twin Turbo, MR2, RX-7, Mitsubishi Verada, I had them all. While I was living in my grandparents' house, I noticed my grandfather's Ford was falling apart. So I decided to build him a car from ground up, a 1990 Magna Elite. I needed to stop buying cars and focus on one car I really want, even if it seemed out of reach. Well, because I lived on Gran Turismo, I wanted my favourite car from Gran Turismo, and that was the Nissan Skyline GTR R33 Series 3 1997 in silver. I wanted silver for 2 reasons. 1, that's the colour I played in the game, and 2, even though the internet was pretty young at the time, I used to awe over a video that was on the internet from Japan, the commercial for this very car.
私たちの国には GTR があることを誇りたい。New GTR debut.
So I set myself a goal. I went and spoke to a car importing place called Charisma. They were absolutely fantastic. They could find me the right car. The only thing is, I needed to be patient, and that was my strong suit. But I didn't have the money at the time. I just needed to keep focusing on selling my games. In the meantime, the game sales were slowing up, so I had to reduce the price a little bit. I can remember selling Salamander, the PCB arcade board, the original one, for $60 and Final Fight for $50. How times have changed. After a couple of months, I had quite a lot of money, enough to buy a GTR. Although my video game collection wasn't looking too healthy. I went from 3,600 games to just over 350 games.
It's gotta be a dream.
I remember trying to offload my Mega Drive games for like $10. These are the Japanese versions, and no one would buy them. How different it would be now. All I had left was 250 Japanese Mega Drive games, and well, they didn't sell because they're Japanese. I also had 30 Super Famicom games, again Japanese. I had a handful of Atari 2600 games, which really weren't popular in the 90s. The console wasn't coming up, wasn't going out, just not talked about. And I reckon about 50 to 60 Commodore 64 games. The two games I really wanted to keep was Last Ninja, mainly because my mother bought it for me for my birthday, and it is my favourite game, and Castlevania Symphony of the Night, because that game got me through some hard times over the last year, and again, my favourite game. So around another month went by and I had enough money to buy the GTR, and it was perfect timing because Charisma called me and they found the right Nissan Skyline R33 Series 3 1997 GTR in silver and with 19,000 kilometers on it. It was practically new. Keep in mind, it was only out a year at the time, and it would get to Australia roughly within 7 weeks. I could not wait. This car was going to be the start of my new life. I wanted the car to be a symbol of new beginnings, and now selling off my video game collection, this car would take its place. I drove this car everywhere, on a racetrack, in car cruises. I absolutely love the car. I would wash it twice a week, and honestly, it's probably one of my favourite cars of all time. Well, there was two major reasons for selling off the video games and buying this car. One, it would show women I'm not a kid anymore. And two, I wanted the car to bring as much enjoyment to me as the video games did. And I would never sell this car. Ever. No matter what.